Hello, I'm your host Evan James. Welcome back to Cardiff City World, and today we're actually going to be going through something a bit different. I've done this before. I think it was at the end of last season of basically like rating all the players and everything. It's just a bit of fun really, and I know that most of you are probably going to be at the event. I unfortunately couldn't make it, so I've recorded this video for you in advance because I'm just that nice of a guy. But yeah, I just have other commitments. But yeah, so I'm just going to go through our player ratings of so far this season. Again, this is just going to be subjective. This is my own opinion about this. So you're probably going to disagree. And again, if you disagree with any of these, right, and you probably will, let me know in the comments. Tell me which ones you think I've got wrong, which ones I think I got spot on, or maybe I got none of them, and you disagree with all of my opinions. But I know that so far, right now we're top of the table, and whilst it is, nice, there are both good and bad things that happen so far. We've had a bit of, rocky starts to certain games, but at the end of the day, you can't really complain. You're top of the table, when we played about 13 games. There are teams with games in hand, but without further ado, no more of that rubbish, and let's get into my personal player ratings of what I think of everyone. So I will just quickly disclaim as well that some of these players won't end up going on the table because they've been injured or missing for whatever reason. First of all, Nathan Trott, he's going at Nathan Trott level. It's no doubt that he is probably our best player, like the best player in the entire league. He's the best goalkeeper in the entire league, and he's almost certainly the best player in the entire league. He's literally just like an octopus. I kid you not. I don't understand, right, how you can save so many shots. You think that the team scored, and yet he pulls off another shot block, and it's just shot block after shot block, save after save. His reflexes are insanely just... I'm losing words, right, just talking about him. And if I just hope to God that we do get promoted, not just because I want to get promoted, but it means we actually have an obligation to buy Nathan Trott, which would be absolutely insane. And can you imagine him at a championship level? If he's pulling off these shot stopping saves here, he's going to be tested a lot more at championship level. So it's going to be interesting to see. And look, he's not immortal in terms of he has conceded goals, but I think, 5 games, 5 clean sheets, his first 5 games, I think it was. And I'm going to say Nathan Turner then. Matthew Turner has been unfortunate to be dropped after the first game, but I will say that Matthew Turner has been very close to being number one. He's been absolute quality. Having him as a backup to Nathan Trott, Matt Turner has been at the club for quite a while now, and he's still quite a young keeper. I think he's like 22, 23 years old. But to think that we have someone, backing up Nathan Trott so he can play for cup games, or God forbid if Nathan Trott gets injured, we have a reliable backup keeper, and it's something that we haven't really had before. We've had 2 keepers who are, they have strengths, but at the end of the day, last season we had too many liabilities with keepers, with their kicking especially, or their shot stopping, and yeah, it's just nice to know that keeper is a position we don't have to worry about, because it can be an absolute ball ache to have a promising and reliable keeper, because it settles your back four once you have a keeper like Nathan Trott or Matthew Turner. And I have to say, just really thrilled with how both of them have gotten so far. Again, Matthew Turner's been very unfortunate not to keep his number one spot, but they were already bringing a keeper. I think he was already in the know of they probably are going to bring in a keeper. I think he kind of knew it. As much as he's done so well, he hasn't put a foot wrong yet, and I have to say that. I can't really fault either of them. But yeah, Matthew Turner, absolute quality, very, very close to Nathan Trott level, but I just feel like Nathan Trott deserves his own tier in a way. Next, we're going to go to... I'm going to have to zoom out for this. Anik, I'm not actually going to put on the list because he hasn't really featured at all yet, and I got a gut feeling he's probably not going to be here by January or the end of the season. I say I got a gut feeling as if no one else has that sort of impression, but I think we all know it's going to be like that. Next, Joel Bagan. I'm gonna say, do I put him at Nathan Trott level? I'm going to put him at the very top of quality. He hasn't put a foot wrong. Well, I think he's made one error so far that led to a goal or a goal scored opportunity. But Mr. Joel Bagan has been Mr. Consistent for the entire this season. And to be fair, last season as well, there wasn't many games where I thought, oh my God, sub off Joel Bagan, or Joel Bagan's had an absolute blunder. There's not been many times I've said that. And you look at his FOTMob match ratings for the last, God knows how many games. He's consistently maintaining at least a 7.3 out of 10, which is insane, right? Because, players have their bad games, okay? Players are just going to have their bad games. It happens, form is a bit patchy, and like with players like Callum Robinson, when he scores one goal, he'll go on a goal scoring streak, right? But there'll be other times where you won't see much of him. But Joel Bagan, obviously, is a different position, but Joel Bagan has been so reliable in defence, so solid and consistent that it's, you don't have any fears when you play Joel Bagan. My only fear when he plays is when he's been played too much. And I just feel like at some point he's going to need a rest, obviously. But at some point, he's probably going to pick up a little niggle, a little injury. And it's, I'm not looking forward to it. Like, it's probably going to happen if he's playing every minute of every game, bar from that Rotherham game where he came on at 30 minutes because they tried to play Mafiko and it wasn't his regular position left back. But you can't fault any of these three players so far. Next we have, I wasn't really going to include many youngsters purposely just because I didn't want to add on the pressure. Plus I don't feel like they've had that much game time yet to sort of fairly rate them on. But TJ Parfitt, I gotta say, I'm putting him at tidy because I don't want to put too many high expectations on youngsters because it's hard enough, right? Being a professional footballer at any age, right? You get judged all the time, and as I'm doing right now, but that is part of the job, I'm afraid. And no doubt there'll probably be some players watching this, right? And I was sweating a little bit now. But honestly, TJ Parfitt, I would happily have him as a cover for Joel Bagan. I think what he did was, he's young, right? Okay, he's under 18s level, which is insane, and he featured against Newport in the first team. And I gotta be honest, there's no disrespect, I never heard of him before, and the fact he went straight there, I was like, oh, okay, who's this Parfitt guy? And when I see him play, it was literally like, Louis Giles when he first got introduced to the squad, where he can whip a good cross in, and he's got bags of pace as well. And I'd be more than happy for him as a backup left back. For the rest of the season. Look, I know we're very short on left backs, or not. We haven't got much depth at left back in the club, but I'd be happy for him to ride us through at least till January, and I think he would benefit from a loan. But equally, I wouldn't be unhappy with him coming off the bench against other games. I just probably would be rotating him with Bagan a bit more often now, just before anyone gets injured, because again, I just fear that's going to happen at some point with the amount of games Bagan's playing. Next we have is Gabriel Osho. So, there will be mixed opinions for this. Let me just have a quick drink. Mixed opinions on this, right? Because I know the quality that Osho has. I'm just going to put him on here a second. But I know the quality he has. And I know there's way, way more to come from him. He's only had, what's he played, 5-6 games? I'm not sure, right? Oh, he's probably played more than that, right? But I think that there is a lot more to come from him, and right now, whilst we could easily say disappointed, he's still settling into proper English football, right? He hasn't played in Championship or League One for a fair few years, and look, he's been playing in a different league, and especially I think it's Ligue 1 in the French league, yeah. Auxerre, is it Auxerre? I don't want to butcher any names anymore, but yeah. So I thought, it has been a little bit disappointing. He has made 3 passes that have basically costed us big time. But look, this is I'm on the fence between disappointed. I am going to say disappointed for now because I did think someone we paid for on a 4-year deal with the money that was rumoured to be spent on him. I think I am disappointed by it so far, but I know that, once he settles in a few more games, he will go up. But I've just got to base off what I've seen so far, not so much of what I'm going to expect them to be in the future. So at the moment, yeah, Gabriel Osho, I think everyone could safely say that they've been a bit disappointed with him. But again, it's very early days yet. And he probably been chucked in the deep end a bit as well when we had a few little injuries with Dylan Lawler. But speaking of, I almost named this Dylan Lawler level. But I think, honestly, we're not going to see Dylan Lawler here next season. I just think, I'm not saying it's fact, I'm just saying I don't know how we're going to keep hold of him. Because, he activated that extra year of his contract. I'm not sure if he's got a 3-year contract or just the 1 year. I don't know, but we need to pin him down to a really long contract, even if he ends up going next season or 2. Because Premier League clubs have probably already been sniffing around him, and it's a matter of time before he's playing just Premier League football. I mean, he's playing centre-back. Well, he played for Kazakhstan. Sorry, no. He played against Kazakhstan, and he just fit into the Wales squad so well, as if he's been playing there for years, as if he was a veteran. And it's just the level of composure that him and both Trots have. It's just like, this kid can't be a kid, right? He can't be 19 years old, and he's just that composed, and he's just, he's that ready for it already. Honestly, I don't know what the other managers didn't see in him before now. Yes, he was a year younger before, but he's been like this for a while now. And like the fact that, it's taken BBM, a youth-focused manager, to get him into the squad. I mean, it's criminal that we haven't utilised him way more. But like I say, I don't want to say or can't really say much about the really good players in that squad, because they speak for themselves just looking at their picture there. And Fish has been very close second in terms of like the best centre-back partnership we have. This is the best centre-back partnership right now. So we got Dylan Lawler and Will Fish, and they're literally like, you cannot drop them. They're the youngest two centre-backs that we have, but yet they're our best pair right now. And look, I'll check Callum Chambers in a second and show you where I stand with him. But these are undroppable for the most part. You've got your back line here, which with Kapaka, which will come in. And I genuinely don't see how you can fit any other pair in unless you were to go to a back three or someone would get injured. And then we come on to Callum Chambers, and one thing I will say about Will Fish as well, that I think his work is very underrated in terms of what he does, because Dylan Lawler is a bit younger than him, so obviously he's going to get a bit more attention of he's a promising youngster. But from Will Fish, someone come from the Manchester United Academy, he barely played at all last season, at least the first half of the season. Where was he? He wasn't being played, and it was so frustrating why he wasn't getting played when he was completely fit as far as we were aware of. But yeah, it's whatever now. And I'm so glad that, BBM, I should have put him on here to say he's Nathan Trott level. But BBM has just done so well in terms of his player management and knowing who to play and when, and managing fitness as well has been a big worry of the last few years of players getting injured. And we're not really sure why. But moving on. So, Callum Chambers, up until recently, he's been pretty tidy, or I'd even say quality. But until now, I would have said it's just not happening. So I'm going to be putting in disappointed. As a club captain, right, you would expect highly of him. You would think that Callum Chambers, he's club captain, he's been made club captain by his teammates. He's got to be at least, tidy or quality. And in fact, that hasn't happened at all. And it's only recently that he's been performing really well with his first touch, everything. He's got great ball control. And he's a good passer of the ball as well. But so many times he has cost us again. And look, I'm going to put him a bit above Osho, okay? But I need to see more from a club captain. If you've been made club captain, I'm not saying you have to be the best player on the pitch, but you have to lead by example. And he might be doing that off the pitch. And I'm sure he's a very lovely guy and a good has leadership qualities. But from performances wise, I haven't seen that, and he hasn't played or started enough games to earn that captaincy, in my opinion. I mean, Ruben Colwell was the captain the first game, so it's like, just say. Next up, we have Ronan Capaccio. Where do I put him? I'm going to have to make this smaller and smaller now. So Ronan Capaccio, I would say Nathan Trott level as well. He's just been so solid, and I mean, he got 2 assists on the weekend, which was insane. And look, he's playing right back right now, and the traditional, or the modern right back, should I say, is a lot more attacking. But he can also defend. People think he can't defend as well. Last season, you would probably say that because he's quite, lean. But he has bulked up a bit as well. But he's kept that pace, and he's a lot more aggressive as well. And obviously, because of the injury, you have to be more, be careful that you don't get injured again and get repeat injuries. But it looks like he's a brand new player at the same time when he started. He started with so much liveliness. There's only been a few times where we thought, he probably is a bit tired and could do with the rest. But I generally can't fault him. I mean, he's only 18 years old? It's ridiculous. This squad is so young. And I am very critical with Cardiff, I will say for a second. I'm very critical with how Cardiff have been in certain performances and how they've been very slow and we haven't really turned on the heat. Because I know we can, right? But in general, we're playing with such a young squad. It's honestly ridiculous. And I don't get how I don't get how we're still top of the table, for being honest. I'm not saying that we should be lower, but what I'm saying is, like, from how much more we can give, the fact that when we put in bad performances or poor performances and we can still perform and, get results, it's insane. And that's not just like singling out Ronan Capaccio, but I feel like he's just been so consistent, just like Joel Bagan. Even on his off days, he still puts in a decent, 6, 7 out of 10 performance, which is great to see. All right, next up we have Mr. Perry NG. I'm going to say, I'm going to cough first. I'm going to say he's nothing to shout about. I think he had a bit of a rocky start to this season, but and you give away that penalty against Stockport, and it's just like thinking, like, why? I mean, you always seem to be a liability in terms of giving away silly fouls, silly free kicks. And, if it weren't for that Stockport incident, I'd probably say that he would be tidy, because he's been better than last season, put it that way. I'm not sure what happened last season with injuries, with whatever. And, I know he's had an injury with his hip and everything, but since he had that injury a couple of seasons ago, he just wasn't the same player. He's player of the season twice in a row for a reason. I know it's not going to happen every year. It's unrealistic to expect that at all. But I just think, he's been pretty quiet, but he's also, apart from the 1 or 2 silly fouls that almost cost us games, he hasn't been nothing to shout about in terms of, he's been solid, but at the same time, he does make me a bit nervous sometimes, because I think he does that, you got the shithousery sort of thing, and it can sometimes get your players into more trouble than save us. I just think he's one of those people, he's got a bit of Horvath in him, Horvath energy, where it's like, he makes me a bit nervous, but not as much. And being a backup right back, is completely fine. I know he can play a centre back as well. A yard of pace has been knocked off him, and I know that, he is no player's getting younger. Let's just say that. But you'd still expect like a decent ratings for him. So I'm gonna say he's nothing to shout about. I don't think he's done really poorly. Again, could have cost us a couple of games, but didn't. So maybe luck went his way a bit, or didn't go his way. I'm not sure. But yeah, I think he's been all right. I think he's been better than he was previous seasons, which is good to see. There's a bit of improvement. Eli King, I have to zoom out again. Christ alive. Eli King, unfortunately, horror start the season with his injury, and I hope he's back ASAP, because you could redo with a backup defensive midfielder. But I think he's probably me out for the season now, if I'm going to be honest. Unless I hear any more. But Ryan Wintle, I'm going to say he's been quality. He's been pivotal, no pun intended, in terms of the way we play. And I found at the start of the season, he went under the radar. Loads of players got under the radar. And I've been someone who's been really critical of Ryan Wintle before, more in terms of his attitude and everything. But I feel like this season, when the coach said, he's got his head down, he's motivated to prove everyone wrong and everything, I was kind of like, yeah, all right, and I didn't believe it. But to be fair now, I believe it now. I believe he has come with the right attitude and with the right mindset. And look, I don't mean to say he's been causing loads of trouble, but I think we all, knew he wasn't at his best. And Ryan Wintle, similar to NG, I can see why they're friends. They both have that bit of shithousery in them, and I get that. Excuse me for like effing and jeffing a lot, but that's the only way I can say the term. I can't be PG about it. And I just think that he's a bit more progressive than before. Before you see him passing sideways and backwards. I think attacking midfielder, when Bullet played him, I don't know what he saw in Ryan Wintle to be an attacking midfielder, because he always has his back to a goal. So I'm not sure what the point of that is, because he used to initiate the press as well, and it made absolutely no sense to me. And I think he's a lot more of a modern day number 6. He's not like a destroyer or a hold-in 6 as much. He likes to sort of join the attack a bit more. I would prefer to see him a bit more as I can say all this, but it's probably not the way that BBM wanted to play. But I would prefer if we had someone who was more like a Gabriel Osho, who would just sit in the number 6. I feel like Osho would be a good backup number 6 for Ryan Wintle, because I don't think we have anyone else right now who I can comfortably say could perform that number 6 role like Ryan Wintle does. So yeah, credit to him. I think he's been quality this season so far. Again, form can change as well with players who haven't performed as well. There is plenty of time for form to change. I'm sure I'll do a ratings thing at the end of the season as well, which will be fun, because I know everyone looks at the table, but I also want to do one for just regular ratings and everything. So missing out Anik, Eli King. Next we got to Troy Perrott, who hasn't featured that much. I'm going to say he's been tidy as well. I think there's a lot more to come from him. I can see why big clubs have been after him because of the potential he has. I think probably I'll put him. No, I'll keep him there. I mean, TJ Parfit and Troy Parrott, the little I've seen of them, have been on the same level as each other. Troy Parrott being a bit older, I think is he 19? I'm not sure, but he still looks so young here, and I hope he gets to get more chances in the cups and everything, and if we're even left in many cups, but I don't know whether you get a chance in the Wrexham game, or I think maybe we'll probably play more of a starting 11 for the league. And no, I don't think there's anything to be shouting about, but also I think he's just been level above that in terms of he's already someone I would pick over some other players who I'm going to get grilling into in just a moment. And talking about that, David Turnbull, I'm really sorry. I mean, he had that one game, I think it was against Plymouth, where he really shone and we saw the best of him, but it's just not happening, is it? I feel bad. Look, I really feel bad doing his ratings because I really wanted to work. And Turnbull, Turnbull's a player I've really stuck with up until this point now, and I really tried to sort of hype him up as if because I knew the quality that Turnbull had before he came. I had briefly heard him before when he was playing in Scotland. But it's just, I don't know what it is, whether it's the fact it's an attitude thing or if it's just like we can't fit him into the system properly. I think it's more to do with that. At the moment, even though I don't see him as a number 6, he's probably limited to a number 6. A box to box, I feel like you lose too much out there because you have Joel Colwell, it just gives you so much energy in the box to box, role. I feel like Turnbull's not as fast as Joel Colwell and paces and everything, but sometimes you need to play at tempo, especially if you're darting from box to box, you need to be fit. I just don't think, for whatever reason, maybe he's holding back a bit in case he gets injured again. I don't know what it is, but if I'm being honest, it's just not happening this season so far. I would not be surprised if this is his last season in a Cardiff City shirt. Possibly might even go in January, or I don't know. I just think that he could do really well at Championship level, but maybe Sheffield Wednesday will take it. But no, I don't mean to be like that, but it's just not worked out really, and I hope that it does come good. But at the same time, now I feel like the bridge has been the ship has been sailed or whatever, and you could tell it was more of a club signing than what the manager wanted. But there we are. Dakarai Mafiko, I'm gonna say, look, I think he's quality. I think Mafiko is really quality. He's still so young. I think he's only 18 now. And, he's such a small guy. He's a bit like Manolus Siopis in a way, and I forget that we had him at one point. But he's such a good player. He looks almost too good to be number 6, but he is, again, he's just a very mobile number 6. He's been tried to play at left back. It's just not worked at left back for him. He's not a left back. So, he's done his best he can, and he got subbed off against Rotherham in 30 minutes. But what was so nice is to see that crowd reaction of the support for him, and not, booing him or just making a scene out of it, but a more positive scene out of it, in fact. And I just know that he just needs time. I think he could really benefit from a loan, but at the same time, would you loan him out to men's football lower down to National League, to League 2 or somewhere? I mean, I might say League 2 possibly, but at the moment we're in League 1 anyway, and as a rotation player, it's not a bad person to bring on at all. I just think that if we got Gabriel Osho now, and then we also got Eli King to come back, probably not till the end of the season really, but when you got other options lined up that could fill the number 6 role, I think I'd rather Gabriel Osho try at number 6 than Mafiko. But again, I wouldn't mind him again in the cup games. I think he'd be really good for, and he's shown it as well in the cup games that he's really quick and agile for a defensive midfielder. He's got all the attributes of an attacking midfielder, which is interesting to me. But, he might adapt to his role. He might end up playing elsewhere. I've heard that he's even played on the wing before. He's such an agile player. That's basically it. Robertson, sadly, I haven't seen barely any of him yet. And I hope he does come back and come good, because I know there's a hell of a player in there. And he's got, 3 years left in his contract? So I hope to God that he does actually come back in. I'm sure he will. It's just the intensity levels and BBM want to push him, because let's be honest, right? BBM has worked with him before, so he knows the level he can be at, and he's not going to settle for any less. So he's not just going to chuck Robertson back in there, especially not to disrupt the harmony in the squad right now with how things are going. You want to introduce players gradually, and that's how BBM is doing it. I don't think it's so much on Robertson. I think it's just on how BBM works in terms of he's just proven a point that you're not just going to be chucked into the starting lineup or into the squad just because you're fit again. Whereas, we'd have certain players where if they were just fit again, they would get chucked straight back into the squad. And it makes me question some of the managerial decisions sometimes with previous managers, let's say. But no, I think he will come good. I don't think it's fair for me to chuck him at the table, so I'm not going to. But Joel Colwell, oh my God. Oh, do I put him... I have to put him above Capaccio just about, but I just think Joel Colwell is absolutely key to how Cardiff play. It's just a high energy, high press man. He does everything, all the basics, he does really well. And that puts him at Nathan Trott level in terms of, he's going to be in contention for Young Player of the Season along with Dylan Lawler, possibly, Ronan Capaccio as well. I just think if a young player in League One, if it isn't a Cardiff City player, it's going to be shocking. But to be fair, there are some other decent clubs. You've got like Stevenage and Bradford City that are up there as well. They might shock us with Young Player of the Season for League One. I just think it's got to be one of these lads, either Dylan Lawler, Joel Colwell, or Ronan Capaccio for me. Again, we can call ourselves biased, but if I'm being honest, there's not many other players who come close. And I'm really happy as well that he's still got the legacy of the 27 shirt. And the fact that even on day one of the first game of the season, literally got chucked straight into the lineup with his brother. I didn't think we would see that for a while. I was under the impression thinking, wouldn't it be good if this happened, if Joel Colwell was to go alongside his brother, at one point in the season. And BBM did in the first game, but it's clear to see there that he's absolutely pivotal and key to the squad, same as Ryan Wintle in how we play, because he's just got bags and bags of energy, and he's so much more aggressive than I thought he'd be. For a youngster, he's like probably the most aggressive youngster. And he wants to do the dirty work, which is amazing. Yeah, he wants to attack, he wants to defend, he wants to be a part of the midfield. And if I'm going to be really critical of any part of Cardiff's game plan this season, is that we really lack midfield. But there's one person that's always involved there when he's on the pitch, and it's Joel Colwell. I think the last game he had against, I think it was a Reading, apparently he went a bit missing a bit, he was a bit quiet. But look, if I'm going to be honest, if we're talking in general on the whole of the season so far, he's been phenomenal for me, and I can't really say much more of a bad word about him. Ollie Tanner, do I put him in? Because he only had a few games, and I thought he started a bit slow, but I think his dribbling has massively improved. I will just say a quick word on him then. And it is a shame because the day he got injured in that game, he was just pressing relentlessly, and he was fighting for loose balls that he shouldn't really have been chasing because looked like it was going to be out of bounds, and that's how the injury came about, because he was so aggressive in it. And I think with him it's a mindset change of he knows now to be a bit more humble, but also in the same ways he's a lot more hungry for things. And I'm not going to put him in there. I would say, if I probably would, I would say Tidy, but again, the injury, it's too harsh to say with only a few games. I don't want to be that guy. Chris Willock, I've had a massive U-turn on him, right? I was really, really excited. He's one of my favourite signings when we did sign him. I was so excited to see him come in and think, oh my God, no way, how have we pulled this off? Then I heard about his injury record, and I think, right, okay, he's probably going to be injury prone. I mean, he already was. But if I'm being honest, this season, I think he's been the top end of Tidy. He's almost quality. I just think that he's a little bit inconsistent still. The game against Luton when he scored that goal, that was a moment, just a glimpse of quality that he had. And his dribbling and his ball control, his agility is so, so good. And it's just thinking, moments of magic that he produces like that, he needs to do more of. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. I mean, he's the one person, I will say, that actually whips the ball in the box, and he has a nice amount of curl on it as well. It's not a really curled shot where it's going all over the place, but he's got a nice, inwards curling finesse type shot or cross. And I feel if his crossing was just a little bit better and we had a few more players in the box ready for it, we would score a lot more of him. I know he scored, I think he assisted Yaku Mete last season in that amazing header he scored. And again, that was from Chris Willock. And, I think he has so much quality in his passing that goes underrated. I still think he's more of an attacking midfielder. But at the same time, I've seen him at his best now out wide, and I can see how he plays. He does slow the game down, which is the one thing I sort of get a bit annoyed about. But sometimes you do need players that can do that. I think BBM has coached him the right way. I think, honestly, under BBM, he's worked really, really well. And I think he's only going to improve as well now, as long as he stays fit. I know he picked up a slight injury a couple of weeks back. But honestly, like, I'm really happy about it turning out. I'm so glad that it has, turned out the better. I know for Chambers, it seems to be turning that way as well. But obviously, I'm going off the majority of the season. But I think Chris Willock is definitely been a wild card in this season so far. And I just hope that he realizes how much quality he has without being like, egotistical about it as such. Like, I'm sure all the players have those ego checks now and again when we're on a winning streak. But like, he's just got so much quality. He doesn't realize it. His reaction time's so fast that he doesn't really even need to dribble past people. I think he's dribbled past like one person since the start of the season, because he's got the pace, but he hasn't got the acceleration as most wingers would have, like that can knock the ball past someone and run. Someone like Isaac Davis or Kean Ashford can do, even though their ball control isn't as good as Chris Willock's. But he's someone who, he doesn't need to beat his man. He can cut inside and then back, and sometimes he has turned defenders inside out, which is great to see. And he can almost like waltz past them. Oh god, I just spat everywhere then. He can almost waltz past them, and then you can fake the cross, you can take on a shot, or you can do vice versa. And again, I think at the end of the season we will see the best version of Chris Willock, providing he stays fit. I mean, he's not a youngster anymore, is he? I mean, he's probably coming towards the latter end of his career. But I would like to think that he stays around and, that he finds his feet even more, because from what I've seen so far, it's promising he's got more to come. And it's almost like we've got a brand new player, because last season I really wasn't happy with him. And again, I think it's also due to the fact that the man just did not know how to use him. He's not a pacey winger. He has got some pace, but he hasn't got the acceleration as other players, as younger players can. So I do like it sometimes when he does drift into the middle sometimes. But again, like, look, it's nothing to be scared about with him so far. So I'm really happy with him. Next one, Kean Ashford. I don't want to say disappointed, because I think he has done well. I'm going to put him at the top of nothing to shout about, because I think some of the work he does goes under the radar as well. He does a lot more dirty work. He tracks back. He helps a lot more defensively, like he did last season. I think it's the one thing that Buller actually coached him into, was to do his defensive duties, and I think that's really benefited Kean Ashford, because let's be honest, right, he's more of an attacking midfielder, not a winger. And he's been played as a winger since he's been at Cardiff, the first team. But before that, he was played as striker and attacking midfielder. So, at right wing, it's still not his primary position, but I feel like that's where he's best at for us, because he has got that pace, and I find sometimes he takes that one extra touch that gets him into trouble. He'll knock it just a bit too far and he'll go out for a goal kick, or he'll just knock it a bit too far, and another defender will come and mop up his mistake. I think it's just with time. Like I said with him, I thought he would be a young player, like player of the season for Cardiff City. I just thought like that was going to be my player of the year, I think, for Cardiff. I just thought that, the way he ended last season was so good, and he's like a young Willock in a way. He's just got so much agility, and he's so quick with the ball. He still needs to work on his dribbling a lot, because I find he can just, lose a bit too much. Again, he knocks the ball, he takes too heavy touches sometimes, and just keeping his job simple as well, because he's got bags of pace there, but whipping it across now and again, or passing it into the middle, and I feel like it will come. But I'd say I wouldn't be disappointed, but I think there's definitely a lot more to see from him that I haven't seen so far. Apologies about the lighting. I know I've got the heaven and hell, the good and the light and the dark on me here, but it's just got really sunny all of a sudden. So we got next Tanaswa Nyakua. Again, I haven't seen much of him. I'm going to say the same, nothing to shout about. I think, he was bound to go on loan at one point, but I don't know if that's going to happen in January. I think he might go on loan in January. I need to have a drink so I can dry throat. I think Anderlecht were looking to sign him on loan, but I think since Tanner got injured, that probably changed. And whether it's because BBM saw the quality he had, or because of the lack of depth or whatever. I know he was asked about it in a press conference after Tanner got injured. Was that your reason why you decided to keep Nyakua? And he sort of brushed it aside, saying, no, we already had enough depth. But I got to be honest, I think it probably was because of that. We have got other options, we got Omari Kellerman in as well, but he's not fully fit yet at the same time. So it's going to take time. So I think him as he's great to introduce a sub on cup games and everything, but I think it's probably would have been the right call. No, when we in January at least, I think it's the right move to just send him on loan to even if you just National League anything, just get him playing men's football honestly, or the Welsh League or something. I think you benefit most from going on loan to a National League club who's probably like a mid-table, just so he's guaranteed to get plenty of game time, because he has got really good potential and he's lightning quick as well. Again, it's just he's so young right now, so I think he's 17, 18 years old. It's too early to be saying, oh, he's the next Ronaldo, But Ruben Colwill, oh man, I'm going to say has been, criminally underrated. I think like the Colwill brothers, I think are insane. I got to put him here, sorry. But the Colwill brothers just have this insane bond of like, you could tell they always pushed each other to be at their best and they're working off each other really well. I think they play better when they play together, when, obviously, Ruben Colwill is playing the number 10 position. And I know that Ruben Colwill can play as a number 8. I think that sometimes it works well because he does so well defensively off the ball as well. And the defensive recoveries that he makes and the things that people don't really track the stats for, because at the end of the day, like everyone tracks the possession, everyone tracks the XG and everything. But I could be wrong in saying this, but I will say the times that he isn't playing, which is very rare to be fair, is when we have the lowest XG. I don't know if that's factual, but I just get a feeling that's the case because he's just, when he's there, he's that creative component that we really need. I feel like that Wales really lack as well. They really lack someone like a Ruben Colwill. And again, I can be biased all I want, but I genuinely think that Craig Bellamy is really missing the trick by not playing Ruben Colwill. I mean, it took him an arm and a leg in trading just to get him into the squad, not even play him like. And I just don't see what Bellamy sees in other players, like playing Cullen, who is a striker at number 10 or number 8 position, and all the rest. And I don't get what he sees in them over them. And look, I love Bellamy. I think he's great and everything, but is one thing I don't see why Ruben Colwill doesn't get the nod at least once, at least to try him. And yes, I know he's a Cardiff player. I'm going to want him to play. But you saw the quality with Dylan Lawler as well against Kazakhstan. Like, he's probably got the same effect. You drop him into a game now, into a qualified game, and he will shine. He hasn't probably trained with the Welsh squad that much, but come on, I don't get what else he has to do. And, he had the start of season, which was an insane start. I think he was the top goal scorer for a period, like 3 goals in like 4 or 5 games. And with the free kicks as well, it'd been insane. I don't know what to say. I think he is future captain material, even though he's already captained so far quite a bit. I think, Joel Bagan has been one who I see as a captain as well, or vice captain, if Colwill was to be the main captain. And I hope he stays. I'm more confident about Ruben Colwill staying than the likes of Dylan Lawler and Ronan Capaccio staying. But I think my hopes are, if we do get promoted, which I really do hope. I know it's a lot to ask, but in the first season we do get promoted, we keep a hold of all of these players. It would be insane. I still think probably Dylan Lawler goes maybe. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he does stay. But I think if the likes of Ruben Colwill stays, which is likely, and Ronan Capaccio, there's a lot more leverage for Dylan wanting to stay as well, because he's just surrounded by so many great young players. And again, Colwill is only like 23 years old, so he's not even entering the prime of his life in his career yet as a footballer. So I mean, yeah, again, I think it's just the amount of criticism he gets is just so unfair. I just don't get it. But anyway, moving on swiftly, because I know we are running short of time. Oh my goodness. Anyway, Omari Kellerman, I'm gonna say tidy. I'll just quick fire these ones. I think again, fitness is a big thing for him. So the moment we get him fully fit, but he's already scored a goal. He's got assists as well. I'm pretty sure, and I know there's tons more we can expect from him by the end of the season. Look, I'm not sure if he get recalled in January. I doubt it. 'Cause I don't know if Chelsea are going to be needing him straight away. Not as a disrespect, but just saying that he needs football right now. And I think for someone who isn't fully fit, if that's what he's like when he's not fully fit, imagine what he's going to be like when he is completely 100%, match fitness sharp and everything. he's going to be an absolute danger. Like, defenders are not going to want to come up against him because he's so skillful. I've seen him with the ball at his feet when he's moving it back and forth. I'm thinking, like, Christ alive. I mean, those are like Ronaldo tricks. That's how I see it. But anyway, enough sort of complimenting Omari Kellerman. Oh, I am going to put him... I'll put him at the top of tidy because I think he is quality, but it's just, I think, a fitness thing. And now, Isaac Davis, I genuinely don't know what this guy needs to do to sort of get a start. I really... I'm gonna do this. Right? I'm just going to have a bit of a shuffle around. I genuinely don't know what else he needs to do to start because he has scored goals. He's got lightning pace, bags of pace, even after learning how to run again, really, to avoid him from repeat injuries. But what else do you need to do? He's bulked up again. He's a bit more physical, even though he's quite a small lad. But he's strong and he's quick. And it's just, those are two rare combinations. You very rarely see that. I mean, Yaku Mete was strong and quick, but he didn't really have the end product. Isaac Davis has got all three of those components. And I feel like if he just plays more, and again, I think he's great off the wing as well as striker. I think, obviously he is a striker at the end of the day. But if I'm being honest, I see him more as a winger now because of how quick he is. And he has got a bit better dribbling than, for example, Kian Ashford. I think Isaac Davis is just like one step ahead of Kian Ashford because I find they're very similar players as well. I just hope that he does get more starts now, Isaac Davis, because I don't know what else he needs to do to prove it. But again, when you have other players who are performing at the best, and you have like Chris Willock as well, and who else you got, Omari Kellerman, like all on the line. It's kind of hard, really. But I don't know what else he's got to do to get a start. That's all I'm gonna say. Callum Robinson, I think he's been quality. I think that when he gets on his goal scoring streak, he's lethal, and we all know that. I mean, if players are scoring goals, they do the job right as a striker. I think again he can play on the wing, he can play as attacking midfielder. He's so versatile, yet we don't really use him to his full potential. And you can see him; he drops back a lot of times, and I kind of want him to stay up. At the same time, he's like Colwell. He's a very creative player, and I find that him and Ruben Colwell work really well together. And I mean, he works well with the whole squad, if I'm being honest. But he's just got that determined mindset of wanting to be a winner. You can tell in his eyes, like, I'm surprised he's here season after season. I keep thinking, Robinson's going to go this season, and he stays at the club. There's something in him, even though he's had some, attitude issues before with previous managers. But I can kind of understand why now, because I look at previous managers to some extent thinking, okay, maybe he was, had some reasons to be sort of thing about it. But look, he's just someone who's high with energy. And you got to treat players like that as if, like, you carry the energy throughout the team. And he is that person that would rile up the players and get them motivated and everything. He's not so, I wouldn't say he's as much of a traditional leader in terms of, like, the calm head. I'm not saying he isn't a calm head. I'm just saying I think he's just someone who's always bouncing, always got energy, and you just need to be on the same level as him if you're going to get the best out of him. And when I see some players, like when he came on, I think it was against Newport, I think, the game just looked a lot faster pace. Like, he just brought that pace on, and you need players around him who've also got that intensity. And I feel like the Colwell brothers are definitely part of that. Ronan Capaccio, definitely part of that. And with Fish and Lawler as the centre back partnership, you've got players who are willing to play balls through the middle and get it to him quick, especially with how much Robinson drops deep in the attack. But yeah, and finally, I will say is Yusuf Salek, just below Callum Robinson. But I think, again, we got two goal machines on our team. I think, absolute quality again. We all sort of got a bit shocked by thinking, okay, it's taken a bit longer to understand League One football, how physical it is. I think Robinson just edges in that, aspect because he's played a bit more championship football. But Yusuf Salek, again, I can't complain in. I just don't understand how he hasn't been given a few free kicks or penalties already, because I mean, the refereeing in this league is absolutely cynical. It's diabolical. I thought championship level was bad. This is even worse, man. And I think he's had a massive shock to the system. And sometimes he gets really frustrated. Other times he just laughs at it. But he's do turn a bag more goals, just the same as Callum Robinson. They're two very different strikers, but I also quite like that because it means he's not just like making like for like subs all the time. And I would like to see sometimes where they can both play up top. But then again, if you play both of them up top, I don't think you can play Isaac Davis as well at the same time. As much as I love it, I just feel like, you haven't got any other backup strikers then, really, have you? I mean, Ollie Tanner could do a job as striker, but he's currently injured. if I'm being honest, Ruben Colwell has played up front before as a number 9, but it didn't quite work out. Omari Kellerman, again, not fully fit, maybe. I don't know. Do you see him as a striker? Chris Willock, definitely not. I think he's too effective in the build-up, in the play to be put as striker, but he is a decent finisher. I will give him that. So, yeah, that's what I've got so far. I feel like, sorry, I put Turnbull on the bottom of his own, but someone had to be there, and I hope it does change, but it is what it is. I am disappointed with these two, the centre-backs here a little bit in terms of, I expect a bit more, because in a way it's a compliment to say that, I want more from them because I know that much better quality. But we'll say with Callum Chambers, recent form and everything, and same with Osho, I'm sure, he will cut out those passes from his kit. And again, these 4 players here, I don't think there's anything they've done wrong necessarily. I just think there's a lot more to come from them. These players have been tidy, can't really criticise them that much. They're either because they're youngsters, they're in there, and I don't want to put, that high bar on them, or the fact that they've just kind of done the job plus more. And again, you have the quality players here, you can't really fault them. Even if they have off days or you could tell they're a bit tired, you just need to rest them, and they try to play through bad form. But if they're playing poorly, it's not just them, it's usually the whole team. And then Nathan Trot-Level is, the golden boys who can't do any wrong whatsoever. No, that's obviously not true. But no, I just think that to think that we've got all these players, right, and there's more to come. We've got 3 players to come back from injury. I'm not sure if Anik would come back into the scene at any point. I don't know about that. And look, I think the future is very, very promising. We've got a massive conveyor belt of youngsters. I could have included more youngsters, but if I'm being honest, I haven't seen anywhere near as much footage for them to fairly rate them. And again, I think there is that pressure that comes with rating young players a lot, because I know as Cardiff fans, we can be very impatient. But look, stick with it now. We're top of the table right now. We will drop at some point, other teams will overtake us on the table, but we're just going to keep fighting and aim to get automatic promotions, because the cards are definitely on the table, and with this team as well, so young, we're only a couple of signings away from a really solid squad. And again, I said we've got 3 almost brand new players to come back anyway. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon.
This channel is powered by an incredible membership community on Cardiff City World and patreon.com/AcePodcastNation. Becoming a member unlocks exclusive rewards, from early access to live event tickets, bonus content, and even the occasional inside transfer scoop when we get it. But more importantly, it allows us to bring you top quality Cardiff City content 7 days a week. Across those 7 days, we're talking match previews, exclusive interviews, instant match reactions, the breakdown podcast, tactical deep dives, the spotlight series, Bluebirds Rewind, Academy Focus, and just so much more. Led by myself, backed by an army of passionate Cardiff City fans, this is content created by fans for fans. Balanced, professional, and 100% all about the club we all love. If you enjoy what we do, then join the community today and support what we are doing as we help to keep Cardiff City World flying high.